Uh, I'm very excited to be here and to be able to share with you some of the adventures that we've had in our Sangha here in Florida, in Sarasota, and so forth, especially with Dzogchen and Mahamudra. Before we start, I'd like to talk a little bit about words that we will be using throughout this teachings, and so that we're all coming from the same reference points. The first one I want to talk about is space. And the space I'm talking about is the space where you are right now, wherever you are, the space you're sitting in, and so forth. This space is the space of skillful means. Its thoughts and emotions are transparent and taking place in the midst of nowhere in space. This is the space of positive, skillful means, working with everyday life situations. It can only be seen through experiencing the space rather than the product by becoming one with the emotion. If I become angry and anger fills me and I get taken away with the whole emotional setup of anger. I'm no longer in the space. I'm not relating to the space where I am. I'm relating to my emotions, and I'm completely separate. So any kind of communication that I would have with the people in that space, there is no communication because there is no space. So there must be an absence of struggle in order to have communication. And space is very important. So never losing touch with the surrounding space, never forgetting that communication is a dance, allows one to maintain proper and complete communication. Now, I don't know about dances back in my time, a tango or a waltz, you had a dance. Nowadays, the dances look very different. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Oh dear. The second word I want to talk about is emotions. Emotions are an upsurge of energy. What we do with emotions has an effect on our communication. The more we think about a situation, the more energy we feed to the emotions. They must have attention to survive. This results in the exchange of communication being limited and biased, and the creative potential of an exchange is destroyed. So the point is not necessarily to control our emotions or to try to be good at the same time. There is the possibility that we can be watchful of ourselves and our state of mind. In Dzogchen, emotions are not regarded as separate from concepts. Every time we have an emotional experience, there is a concept associated with that. Rather than looking at an emotion from a particular conceptual framework, one tries to gain immediate experience of the emotion as they present. This is a completely different way of relating to the energy as it arises in us. We'll learn more about that. So concepts and emotions are intimately related. If we allow those activities to happen in the mind without obstruction, the natural consequence of that type of manifestation is the experience of luminosity or clarity. Emotions arise and dissipate by themselves. We don't need to interfere. Ego and egolessness. So, what is ego? Ego is the name for all these ideas, images, and feelings we have about who we are or want to be. Example, an actor. You have the leading role in your life. Learning to be brave and completely genuine. You have no need for a script. You can be spontaneously open and present. Egolessness is the experience of experiencing our life without the reference points of ego. It's being completely genuine, who you are, and in the now. So we might look at what is the ground of self. The ground of self is personal experience, obstacles, seductions, paranoia, depressions, openness. There is no environment other than your thoughts. There is no environment other than your thoughts. In our practice of meditation, our problems are our only working basis. Without our problems, we have no working basis. We have no path. If everything is fine and dandy and you have no problems whatsoever, you have nothing to work on. It's only when we experience problems in our life that we see where the areas are that we have to work with. Confusion. What is confusion? Confusion is ignorance. Confusion is present in the ground of being and therefore endless. It arises simultaneously with wisdom. Trungpa Rinpoche had us do a little experiment at one point where we were shoulder to shoulder. Two people walked down the aisle, shoulder to shoulder. And then at the end of the aisle, one went to the left and the other went to the right. And this was his example of confusion and wisdom arising from the same space and then separating. So it's there with it. Confusion exists there with wisdom. The true nature of mind is unitary, it's not dualistic. Confusion's tendency is to grasp onto one's selfhood. From this comes attachment, possessiveness, pain, and suffering. Ordinary and transcendental mind. Ordinary mind is the mind that is the same but used in a different way. We need to distinguish how things are as opposed to how they appear. Identifying with ordinary consciousness gives rise to ego. Example, we begin to realize that our insight into another person is restricted by how the person appears to us. We are restricted to seeing them based on how we apprehend their appearance and behavior. If you see someone in a very casual way, in a pair of maybe shorts and t-shirt, sneakers, or whatever, and then they're introduced to you as the president of a company, there's hesitation there to kind of maybe accept that because of what you're experiencing right now, your perception of your evaluation of what you think this person does, who they are, whatever, is based on appearance. One of the things that I would stress to my students when I was involved with school systems is be careful how you dress when you first meet someone, because many times they see you and immediately they decide who you are. And it takes a long time to undo that initial impression. So the transcendental aspect is not embellished, polluted, or contaminated by ordinary consciousness. We can transcend ego. So the difference between ordinary and transcendental mind is that ordinary mind is affected by our perceptions, our judgments, our evaluations, and so forth. Transcendental mind is not. It is not polluted. It is not embellished or contaminated by ordinary consciousness. It is what it is. And that's a very important part when you're thinking about Dzogchen. Dalai Lama says that ordinary consciousness is ordinary mind based on Sem. In the Tibetan tradition, they call ordinary mind Sem, S-E-M. Pure awareness, Rigpa, the ninth yoga, is beyond ordinary consciousness. Its path is based on awareness, not on the ordinary mind. I want to talk just very briefly about the nine yanas because the nine yanas gives us a sense of the path that we are walking on, that we are working with. So the first yana, Hinayana, is based on the first two yanas, which is the Shravaka yana and the Pratyeka yana. And the Shravaka yana is the vehicle of listening and hearing. So these are the people that hear and they're listening to the teachings. The Pratyeka yana is the vehicle of the solitary realizer. So now you have the person who hears the teachings, but is not quite ready to become involved with a group. They're doing their own thing. They have their own sense of how they are evaluating what is being taught to them or what they are experiencing. The third yana is the Bodhisattva yana. And here is where you begin to open to others. So the fourth yana, the Kriya Tantra yana, is concerned with conduct, ritual purification, and cleanliness. There's a lot of eating right, wearing white, and so forth. The Charya Tantra yana, which is the fifth yana, has an emphasis on outer actions of body, speech, and inner cultivation of samadhi. The sixth yana, the Yoga Tantra yana, is the inner yogic meditation on reality, combining skillful means and wisdom. So you can see how we're beginning to progress to basically, when we get to the Yoga Tantra yana, the sixth yana, now we're talking about inner yogic meditation on reality and combining skillful means and wisdom. And the seventh Mahayoga yana, the development stage, clarity and precision of the visualization as skillful means, which is a gradual process. Then we hit Tantra, Vajrayana. So we've now moved from the Hinayana, the Mahayana, into the Vajrayana with the eighth yana, which is the Anuyoga yana, where the focus is on the completion stage, the inner channels, the winds, energies, instant visualization of deities. If we do Chenrezig practice or Tara practice or Vajrayogini practice, we say the description of the deity and we become that on the spot. Instant visualization of the deity that we manifest as. And the ninth yana, the highest yana, is the Ati Yoga yana, where all phenomena are only appearances of the naturally arising primordial wisdom, which is beyond arising and ceasing. So here we've got all the way transformation with the Vajrayana Tantra to actually going right to the essence of our energy, of what we are. So the sutra, Hinayana, when we get the sutra teachings and the Hinayana teachings, they're basically based with the realization of shamatha, shine, which is a meditation practice to develop a calm state of mind, controlling body, speech, and mind in such a way that we avoid committing any negative action and only perform positive acts. We govern our behavior by taking certain vows and following certain rules we have vowed to abide by. Having calmed our mind, we can experience emptiness. So without shamatha, we never really have an opportunity to discover our basic essence, our Buddha nature, our primal purity, because the calming of the mind without it being discursive, jumping from one thing, one thought to another thought to another thought, which triggers another thought, we never get to the point where we can actually experience, calm the mind down to experience the basic essence of our energy, which is the clarity, the rigpa. In the calm state, experiencing shamatha, we discover the movement of our thoughts, emotions, and energy. These movements are not found in the sutra tradition. They are found in the tantra tradition. So once you do your practice, your sitting practice of meditation, the minute that you are aware, oh, I'm lost in my thought. I'm no longer with my breath or with my calm mind. I am now in the discursive area. The minute that you recognize that movement of mind, you are now in the Tantra tradition. You've now left the Sutra tradition or the Hinayana tradition. So a brief summary of the nine yana system is Hinayana, point of view, that of the Shravakas and the Pratyeka Buddhas. Their approach to practice is that of renunciation. The person approaches the practice with the intention to eradicate their ignorance, desire, anger, jealousy, bitterness, and so on. And attachment is the starting point. In the Mahayana point of view, that works with the development of the concept of emptiness and insubstantiality, and the notion of the two truths, relative and absolute truth. One is trying to understand that everything is insubstantial by nature. In Mahayana, there is still an effort involved in terms of dealing with what is negative and what is undesirable, which is accomplished through purification. Tonglen practices. Now you begin to see your negativity, any of your negative behavior patterns, how to undo them. So you have a whole process. That's what Tonglen is. When this situation arises, this is what you do. All of the slogans that go with that are teaching you how to purify your action, how to come from the accurate reference points of compassion, bodhicitta. In Mahayana, one works with ignorance within the tantric practices. One engages in ritual practices, visualization of deities, and recitation of mantras, and so on, with the intention to transform or transmute one's negative qualities into positive qualities, with the intention to realize wisdom. So the first 8 yanas deal with the ordinary mind, the ordinary everyday consciousness, not transcendental mind, the everyday mind, the ordinary mind. In Dzogchen, there is a misunderstanding of going astray from one's true condition, a lack of awareness. In the Dzogchen tradition, the distinction between being and becoming is not made. The being is the ground by which the becoming is made possible. Human nature is grounded in the idea that a person is already perfect, but fails to realize the inherent perfection within oneself. That is why it is called the path of self-liberation. It overcomes all views, biases, prejudices, and dogmatism. It does not hold on to concepts rigidly, making them concrete and consolidating them. Mind is not contained. It is an expansive outlook. A wider horizon is always present. We are in the mode of being. To make that perhaps more understandable, it's when we have our Buddha nature, our primal primal purity, our basic being. Many times the ocean is given as an analogy, and the thoughts and concepts are the waves at the top of the ocean. So that ocean is what is related to in Dzogchen. It's the complete ocean, and from that comes the ordinary mind, the transcendental mind, everything. There's no duality. It's totally one essence, one being. It is not split, self and other, and so forth. So ego that comes from that, but the basic essence is only one unitary. So if we look at Tantra, Mahayana, the path of transformation, pure and impure vision. In Tantra, there's more knowledge of the energy level than in Hinayana. When you have the first two yanas, there's no movement in that. You're not finding your thoughts moving. It's when you hit the Mahayana that you begin to have that sense of movement. I'm noticing my thoughts. There's something happening here. So movement is a part of our real nature, our body, speech, and mind. If you are in a state of instant presence in that emptiness, at that moment, you are in a state of contemplation. There is no difference between being in emptiness or in movement. Why? Because you're at the ocean, you're noticing, you have not left the space, you've not left the ocean. You are there in the ocean, noticing that thought is arising. You're noticing the movement, but you haven't left the space. We're back to the beginning of space where you're angry and you leave the space because you're so overwhelmed by the emotions that you're having that you lose the sense of space. Now you're totally involved with that desire, that anger, that ignorance. So learning to be in that clarity while in the state of instant presence is the goal. That really is enlightenment. Being able to maintain and be in the space and recognize whatever it is that's arising in your mind or what you're experiencing, but you don't leave that space. That is the goal. So impure vision corresponds to the five aggregates: form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. In the pure sense, the five aggregates become the Sambhogakaya Buddhas. Both are our own nature, our own energy. There's no difference between the two manifestations of pure and impure. They're both coming from the same essence. Our condition is the alternation of thoughts and emptiness, stillness and movement, openness, thoughts arising, movement. This is Tantra. When you have the movement, this is Tantra. So in Tantra, transformation methods are used. In Dzogchen, self-liberation is used. In Tantra, we transform our impure dualistic condition into a pure dimension, working with the movement of thought, emotion, and energy rather than remaining in the condition of emptiness. We actively transform. The higher Tantra's commitment is to train ourselves in pure vision when we transform into the deity. Anger experienced toward a person is impure vision. So the anger is your own energy. It is not necessary to stop it. This is how we use pure vision. You take the form of the deity, right? You have pure vision. And so you integrate the negativity, the impure vision is integrated into the pure view of the deity. When we are being in that clarity, we can find ourselves in a state of contemplation. When we are working with visualizations and deities, we are working with our clarity. We work with and use experience and try to be in the state of knowledge or understanding. Then everything becomes positive for our practice. If some movement arises, we should first notice it. If we are walking, moving about, we should first continue to remain in the one-pointed state without distraction. Whether one is in a state of movement or in a calm state, there is no difference between the two states. There is no difference between the two states as our own condition is non-dual. The ocean, we are the ocean. We are non-dual. Movement, stillness, emptiness does not matter. This is Mahamudra. The Mahamudra state is one of transformation, a state of clarity, no longer judging, thinking, creating, or blocking anything. Tantra teaches how to incorporate movement into the practice of contemplation. Ati Yoga Yana, Dzogchen, deals with one's existential being, the fulfillment of one's potential. From the Dzogchen point of view, as soon as one uses a technique to realize or gain something, one has automatically changed, modified, or in a sense contrived the original natural state of mind. So the ground is to discover, experience the natural state, Buddha nature, primal purity, basic goodness, whatever you want to call it. And you have to have the stability of mind which comes from the training of shamatha and vipassana. So when we start with shamatha, we're learning how to become aware of our body, where we are, our breath, thoughts arising, and so forth. And that automatically, organically becomes vipassana when you not only have awareness of the self, you're breathing, you're there, the breath is going out, a thought is arising, but then shamatha automatically becomes vipassana when now you're also aware of not just yourself, but now you're aware of the space you are in, the room you are in, what is all around, and so forth. So the awareness has expanded to the whole space of where you are, as opposed to just your feeling, vibrating, movement, thinking, stillness, or whatever. The Dzogchen base basically has three main components. The first one is essence, which is emptiness. If we look at our thoughts and we follow our thoughts, there's nothing there. That doesn't have any color. We can't grasp them. We can't do anything. They're invisible. Emptiness. The second element is nature, clarity, luminosity. So often we all know we are emptiness and luminosity. So luminosity and clarity are used in the same way. So observing the thoughts and all our experiences of body, energy, and mind are part of our clarity, our nature. Essence and nature are not two different entities, but two aspects of our real condition. And the third element is energy, without interruption, constantly in motion, is a definitive knowledge of the inherent potentiality of the individual, which manifests as sounds, lights, and rays. The senses receive information and the mind interprets. The reason it's without interruption, constant movement, if you think about your five senses, if there's a scent in the air, we smell that. We can see, we can hear, we can taste, we can touch. All of that is happening constantly. Nothing stops. There's constant motion all the time. That's our energy. So the movement of thought in the mind and everything that arises in the mind are considered to be part of our clarity. Mahamudra represents relative and absolute truths. You can't isolate yourself in pure vision alone. A construction of the mind creates deities, a pure relative condition where everything is integrated and we go beyond concepts and achieve Mahamudra, realization of the mind's true nature and awareness and emptiness. In the Dzogchen view, impure vision is regarded as part of our clarity. There is no difference. That is why it is called self-liberation, not transformation. So you have with Mahamudra, the outcome of Mahamudra is exactly the same as the outcome of Dzogchen. How you get to that outcome is the difference. So in Mahamudra, you have transformation into the deity, which integrates the negativity, the positive, and the negative all together. It integrates it. And then you step back into the clarity where you're no longer doing anything. You are now in the state of contemplation. Dzogchen, what Dzogchen does is it says the pure and the impure are both part of the essence, the ocean. There's no difference. And that is why it's self-liberation. It's already pure. You just have to recognize it. You don't transform, you recognize. So it's self-liberation. So the real meaning of meditative contemplation is to dwell in our real nature, which includes movement, energy, and clarity. The base never changes. Essence, nature, energy. If thoughts arise and we do not follow them, this is the state of contemplation. This state of clarity or instant presence is the enlightened state. When we have contact through the senses, think and judge, this is dualism, suffering. I want to read to you a little quote from Chagdu Tulku Rinpoche. To understand how delusion arises, practice watching your mind. Begin by simply letting it relax, without thinking of the past or the future, without feeling hope or fear about this thing or that. Let it rest comfortably, open and natural. In this space of the mind, there is no problem, no suffering. Then something catches your attention. An image, a sound, a smell. Your mind splits into inner and outer, self and other, subject and object. In simply perceiving the object, there is still no problem. But when you zero in on it, you notice that it's big or small, white or black, square or circular, and then you make a judgment. For example, when it's pretty or ugly. Having made that judgment, you react to it. You decide you like it or don't like it. That's when the problem starts because I like it leads to I want it. We want to possess what we perceive to be desirable. Similarly, I don't like it leads to I don't want it. If we like something, want it, and can't have it, we suffer. If we don't want it but can't keep it away, again we suffer. Our suffering seems to occur because of the object of our desire or aversion, but that's not really so. It happens because the mind splits into object-subject duality and becomes involved in wanting or not wanting something. So, unquote. So we should turn our awareness within ourselves. This is Rigpa awareness, not outside, judging, thinking, multiplying our dualistic vision. Emptiness has clarity and it manifests everything as energy without interruption. So Dzogchen, the path of self-liberation, we learn self-responsibility. It's important to cultivate awareness and be responsible for ourselves. The method is to work concretely, directly with your experience. When you are in a state of contemplation, there's no concept of good or bad, pure or impure. That is dualistic vision. You observe yourself instead of looking at objects. You see your limitations, condition, existence. You observe yourself rather than judging others. And many times the symbol for this is the mirror, because the mirror, whatever's put in front of it, is beyond judgment or analysis. It just shows you what you're putting in front of it, what appears there, without anything. So when you are in your real nature, there is no change at all. You are not changing or transforming something. This is the meaning of self-liberation. So you must work concretely, directly with your experience. When you are in a state of contemplation, you are not transforming anything. There is no concept of pure or unpure. Those are dualistic concepts. Practice refers to contemplation, the state of Rigpa. The mirror as an example, no judgment, observing your own limitations, your own existence, condition, intentions, self-evaluation. This is the equivalent to same flavor in Mahamudra. Does not matter whether there is a nice or ugly reflection. There is no change. This is the real meaning of self-liberation. Direct experience through our senses, and that through these direct experiences, we discover our real nature. I want to stop here, and when we meet again, I'd like to talk about the path. How do we work with that? How do we accomplish those objectives of working with our energy directly? And we can actually have some kind of path or quality that will enable us to be able to become aware of how to do that. And so I'd like to just take questions at this point in time. If there are any questions, are there any questions? Oh, either you didn't understand anything or you understood everything. One or the other. I'm not sure which it was. I hope.
I know how's this
I have
good.
a question.
Mm.
Um, can you recommend it, what you describe to say the least is quite complex? So, can you recommend a book, a reading that one can read one page at a time and contemplate and understand. Um, if you could, that would be wonderful.
I have my when the next talk comes, there are many quotes from many magnificent, wonderful teachers, and I'll be happy to share those with you. And I think this is something that you have to contemplate. You know, you have to think about um, how you work with this. But what I will do is I will send them to Jody. I will send you, and then you could distribute them if you like. And we could actually, that was one of the things that I wanted to do for the last class, is that we would share these. But there are several of them that deal directly with the path quality that I want to talk about next time. And so that might help.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That would be very helpful.
Okay.
There's a question from Daniel Lama Rina. So Daniel, go ahead.
Hi, Lama Rina. Thank you. So actually, I just want to talk a little bit about my experience in meditation. Some days I feel that my mind is quite wild, and I really have to force myself to sit on the cushion. And when I do sit on the cushion, I'm just learning that whatever is going on in my mind, that's okay to just observe it all, kind of like looking through the porthole when you're inside a ship. And instead of like trying to run out onto the deck and try to get everything stable, I just like go sit in front of the porthole, watch the waves go, the boat is moving around, and I guess I'd like to know if that's am I on the right track, or am I what do you think about this? It's like I no longer care about being comfortable. I'm just going to try to get to a place where I can watch everything happening.
Sounds perfect. And I'll tell you, when you have, I'll give you a little bit of a help in the sense that when you feel all of that coming up, all of that commotion, all of that movement, and thoughts are coming and so forth, watch it. In other words, it's like it's different if it's taking you over and then you feel wild like that, right? But the minute that you observe it, recognize it, you've already created some space between you and the actual movement. In other words, you've already cut that energy somewhat by recognizing it. So look at it and just let it be. Don't try to do anything with it. Don't try it. Whatever it is that's happening is perfect. That's the whole path of self-liberation, is that you're not trying to change anything. You're not trying to do anything. You're recognizing it. That is the main ingredient. And just allow yourself to feel that. Don't try to feel, oh, I should feel still. I should feel calm. I should this. I should that. Just recognize what's actually going on and allow yourself to be with it. If it's anger, or jealousy, or whatever it is, irritation, go right to the source of it. Look at it. Where's that coming from? Inquisitiveness. It's better to be inquisitive than to try to do anything with it. In other words, watch it, look at it. Whoa, where's that coming from? Why is that happening? Okay. And then just be with it. Look at your body. Let it feel it. Go to the place in your body where it's happening. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. And so I'm getting the sense that through most of my life, there's just never been that space. There's just been the continual engagement with thoughts. So I'm in a place where it's like, whoa, wow, all throughout my life, I could have maybe created a little space here instead of just the rat on the wheel.
Well, you can't create anything. If you try to do anything, you create more because then you're creating, I've got this under control.
Right, right.
The minute you try to get it under control, it becomes like a volcano ready to explode at some point down the line. So you need to make friends with it. You need to just let it be whatever it is. Let go, just let it be and watch it, recognize it. The mirror.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let me know how that works out.
Sure.
Your meditation practice with shamatha, the one commitment that you must make when you do shamatha practice is that the minute that you recognize a thought that you're no longer with your breath or in that space, that you thinking, you come back to your breath. That's the one commitment. Even if it's 1,000 times in that one period, you must come back to that breath and just be willing. And then if you're taken away, it doesn't matter. Come back, come back. Within the space of two thoughts, when one thought has diminished, before the next thought arises, that space is what it is. So the recognition of that space between two thoughts, that openness, you're climbing up a mountain and you're heavy, heavy, climbing up that mountain. And you finally get to the top and you look up and the expanse of the mountain and the sight, it's just the openness, that 1 second of before the thoughts come rolling back in. That's what you're looking for. That is the basic essence. Mm, okay.
May I ask another question?
Yes. Mhm.
Has to do with meditation. I think with Daniel asking that question, I feel encouraged. Uh, I generally do a Tara meditation, and invariably, someplace along the line where my mind goes everywhere, uh, there's nothing. Don't know how to describe it. Sometimes I think, oh, I must be falling asleep, but I don't actually fall asleep. It's just nothing. And then the mantra comes back and I recite the mantra. I don't know how long that feeling of nothing lasts. And I know this is a strange question. Am I falling asleep or or something else happening?
Unless you actually fall asleep and fall over, I would not try to figure out what it is because the minute you try to conceptualize what it is, for an example, I'm making a pot of soup and I say to you, tell me if it's too salty. And then you taste it. That one moment when you actually taste it, that before comes in, oh, it's too salty. Oh, it needs more salt. That first initial hit of that is the openness. And if you're trying to analyze, oh, am I this? Am I that? Are you trying to put it into some sort of category of some sort? You don't want to do that. You just want to be with it. If you fall asleep, oh, I fell asleep.
No, it never sleep. I won't mind
That's right.
sleeping, but it's never sleep.
You see, so I would not, as long as you are commenting on it. In other words, you've had the experience, and now you're going to try to identify the
Mhm.
experience.
Yeah.
You see, that's the problem.
Okay.
What you want is to just have the experience. It is what it is. You don't have to worry about trying to define it or to categorize it or to do anything with it. Just recognize it. Just recognize it and don't give it any particular um, importance.
But it feels good. It feels very
Oh,
good.
fantastic. Fantastic.
It's almost like having a piece of chocolate.
Oh, now you're in my realm here. I can't, that's one thing I can't resist.
Thank you.
Very nice. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hello, Lama Rina. This is Betty. I was from the Land of Compassion Buddha in Los Angeles. I love to hear your teachings.
Do I know you?
No, but it's my first time
Oh,
joining.
okay.
I was practice the Mahamudra and Dzogchen. That helps me a lot.
Those, if you're practicing Mahamudra and Dzogchen, you're in the minority of the most fantastic realization that we
Mm,
can have because it's the truth. It's
mm.
teaching us the truth of what we are, who we are, and Dzogchen, Zongsar Khyentse Rinpoche
Mm,
constantly comes back with um, we need to learn the truth. And
mm.
so the truth of who we are has to do with recognizing our non-duality,
Okay.
the ocean being who we are and accepting who we are, um, learning who we are, and undoing the behavior, the negative behavior patterns that we have created uh, for ourselves that create so much pain and suffering for us. But we have no choice. We have to undo it in order to recognize and be happy and know the truth. So that's our journey. That's our journey.
Mm. Okay, it's nice to see you.
Same here. Thank you.
Hi, Lama. Um, I write down these little snippets of thoughts that I hear in a podcast or come to me during a day. And recently I copied this down. Peace is not the absence of violence, but the creation of justice. And what I feel from learning here, and that's been sticking with me, is this should really read, peace is not the absence of violence, but the creation of space. And
Ah,
that's what I get a feeling of what you're trying to show us.
yes,
Yeah.
I agree with you completely.
I'm going to change the end to be that, to be of
I think
space.
I
It
think
always stuck with
great.
me. And I was just like, not just right, but tonight it brought me back to this thought.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Whenever the space is so important because when we leave the space, we're in our thoughts, we're in our patterns. And that's why we have the Tonglen practices to so that we don't just go into our habitual patterns, that we actually undo some of those patterns. This is the action, this is the behavior that one manifests in that. And Pema Chodron, my Vajra sister, um, she's really fantastic when it comes to Tonglen. And those, we used to have these little cards that we would have thought for the day. And it would, for me, driving, I hate driving. And so when you're on the highway and there's nothing you can do, you cannot get off, you cannot get, you're caught in traffic. And so there's the slogan of change your attitude and relax as it is. And for me, that's what I have. Relax as it is. You have no choice. And so I think a lot has to do with us just recognizing and being willing to be patient.
Thank you. Yeah.
But I love very much your little saying there, and I like the way you've changed it as well. I think it's much more it's more expansive.
Yeah, it is. It is. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Lee has a question.
Lee, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay. I have a question about the difference between Mahamudra and Dzogchen, which was more difficult for me to follow than the other yanas or practices.
Well, with the Hinayana, you have renunciation as the theme. And with Mahamudra, what we have is transformation. And Dzogchen is self-liberation. So when you're doing to achieve Mahamudra practice, you're using the deities, the mantras, the recitations, um, all of these sadhanas, Tara, Chenrezig, Vajrayogini, Chakrasambhara, Kalachakra, and so forth. You're using the actual sadhana. And then you have relative and absolute truth. So you have pure and impure vision. This is all in the Mahamudra lineage. So what you do is you transform yourself into the deity. And when you are the deity, now you have pure vision, right? Deities don't have impure vision. So you're going to integrate with your pure vision, you integrate the impure vision and it becomes pure. And that's how transformation practices are. And the transformation practices go from the start of the third yana, the Bodhisattva yana, all the way through to the eighth yana, Anuyoga yana. All of that is transformation. You're becoming clean, you're becoming body, speech, and mind, you're the deity, you bodhicitta, all of that is all, and the negativity is integrated into that purity, and the whole thing becomes pure. But then what happens with Mahamudra is the end result of that, once everything is pure, that concept, that idea of purity completely becomes that one taste, which is the exact same ending as the Dzogchen ending. That's where they're both exactly the same in the final product. Dzogchen, what happens is there's not impure and pure. Everything is one. It's all unified. Within the ocean, you have the pure and the impure. Both of them exist in that ocean. And so when something happens that triggers you, like you become angry, you don't, because it's part of the basic essence, it's just pure. It's from the standpoint of view, you don't have to do anything with it. You just have to recognize it and it dissolves. You just recognize it. You feel it in your body. You recognize the impure and the pure. You watch yourself and you look at where are these actions coming from? Not that you're doing a lot of analysis and so forth, but you go to the essence in your body. And we'll be doing a lot of this for the next time that we meet. But it's pure and impure are both. You don't pay any attention. You don't say, oh, this is pure, this is impure. You go right to the experience, right to the experience, and you watch it. You don't do anything with it. If you do anything with it, then you've corrupted the Dzogchen practice because of the self-purification, self-liberation. All you have to do is see it, recognize it. That's all. Now, the minute that you, let's say the anger, maybe you see the anger, right? You feel your body, you feel it coming up. It's like you see somebody in the distance and you see that this is a person you had a horrific fight with and they're coming toward you. So now you feel that in your body, in your mind. You feel what's starting to come up. It's almost like an ember that is starting to take fire, right? But you don't do anything. You feel it, you see it, but you don't put any more kerosene on the fire. Because then you always have a choice. There's two choices. You can choose to escalate or de-escalate. If you continue to keep thinking about it, the more you think about it, the more kerosene you're putting on the fire. Oh, look what they did. Da, da, da. They shouldn't have said that. Da, 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 da. They felt me feel like this. Da, 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 and so forth and so on. You just have to recognize in your body. You feel it, you watch your body, you see it, but you don't bring it out into action. You just recognize it like the mirror. You see what it is, but you don't do anything with it. So that is Dzogchen. Mahamudra is again transformation. You transform into the deity. You bring in the impure things, you integrate them into the purity so that the whole outcome is totally pure. And then when you step back further, when all of it is purity, then you have Mahamudra. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, transformation into the deity doesn't just happen during practice of the sadhana.
No, it's whenever when you're doing the practice, you're now I am the deity. Now, if you visualize yourself as the deity 24/7, then that's what you are. And at one point I can remember Trungpa Rinpoche, my root guru, who gave us Vajrayogini Abhisheka. And one of the suggestions was you are the deity 24/7. So wherever you went, you thought of the mandala of Vajrayogini and you came from the reference point of the deity.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Lama Rina, so when we're practicing, like let's say Chenrezi or Tara, is that the instruction? Is that a good instruction to be her all the time, to be Tara? Because what I want to say about it is when I'm practicing Tara, which is a lot, and I do her mantra, green Tara.
Mhm.
And when I'm in a situation which is difficult, or if I need her, I I bring her in. I
Absolutely.
want to be her and embody her and bring her in.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's
Perfect.
all the time.
You know, in reality, we are the deity, our basic essence. That's what we are. That's the reality. That's the truth. So the more you embody Tara, you don't ever have to not be Tara. Being Tara all the time, 24/7, is fantastic because there you're practicing all the time. You know, what could she do wrong?
Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely.
I have another like a little twist on that though. So what if I say to my daughter or my son who hasn't taken, well, my daughter took refuge, but like they're not practicing Tara, but if they're having difficulty and I say, just speak this mantra, speak her mantra. Is that
Mhm.
appropriate for me to say that and them to speak the mantra?
Um, that's a hard one
Yeah, I think about that one.
because it's like it depends on your son and your daughter and who they are and how they relate to the whole issue of Tara and whatever. What are their personal feelings regarding Tara? You know, if there's a propensity for one of them to actually, you make the suggestion and they're willing to try it, fantastic. But sometimes it's seen as, oh, you're trying to convert me or you're trying to put something onto me that I don't, So you have to see who it is. What I would say to you is teach the reference points of Tara. By that I mean, who is Tara in situations? If you were coming from Tara's point of view, if you were coming as Tara, making decisions in the world with them and within your own personal life and with others, those reference points they are watching. That's where they learn yay and nay. That's where the strength. So if you are Tara, then they will see the strength of that. They will see the power of that because that is the truth. So your compassion in situations as Tara teaches them the reference points of Tara. You are teaching them Tara. They will be Tara.
I love that. Thank you. That was
You're welcome.
beautiful. So it's actually 7:30 or 7:40. So if we wanted to wrap it up, um, if you wanted to end with any dedication or
Yeah, we should dedicate the merit, at least do that.
yeah.
By this merit may all obtain omniscience, may it defeat the enemy wrongdoing from the stormy ways of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of samsara may I free all beings. By the confidence of the golden sun of the great east, may the lotus garden of the Rigden's wisdom bloom. May the dark ignorance of sentient beings be dispelled. May all beings enjoy profound, brilliant glory. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lama Rina.
You.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Good
Thank you
night.
very much. Good
Thank you.
night. Thank you.
See you next month.
See you next month.